Hey YouTube, we're here with the bird of time. You saw earlier we were putting in this larger 50 amp ESC by Dynaflite, but we have trouble fitting it up here with the 2200 3S, and so I just wanted to give you a quick rundown on how we ended up doing that. It was quite the pain in the butt, and I'm going to show you. Obviously we have room for all that. Here, I'll show you how that works. Of course, that's our voltage alarm. You can see everything fits nice and neat now. And now, of course, these will be tucked in to this cavity. The 50 amp ESC has plenty of room to breathe. I did have to rebuild the XT60. I'm going to give it some throttle here. And braking, and brake, and brake. Throttle cuts back on. Tested. Okay, so everything there is working good. Go ahead and slide that off. I'll show you how this disassembles. Unplug that. Pull the battery lead up. Go ahead and unplug that. Everything's verified, so you got lots of room in there now. So you can see that goes in there, and there's quite a bit of room. In fact, if I wanted to, I bet I could fit a 4S in there now. 4S 2200. This might be a tight squeeze. And I don't really have any plans of flying this on 4S. But if I wanted to, yeah, I don't think I'm getting the alarm in there though. But I more just wanted to show you guys that it can. I saved a lot of room. I re-lifted this servo, and I took and ran all the motor leads back through, and now they're on a flat plane. They're just flat and level here. I kind of wish I could get them on the side, but it's just a lot easier the way they exit from the actual motor. Turn on this flashlight for you. You can see there how they just kind of set on the bottom, the floor of the plane. That burn mark there is from when I was doing the assembly and building this custom motor mount. But then of course I had to send all that stuff under, and it was tight, very tight. And I had to really work to get that stuff under there. But now that it's under there, I've got this suspended, and just noting that there's a dual diversity antenna on this. One antenna goes under, which is not great, being there's an ESC with a heatsink on it. But then the other antenna goes through here and around. So we actually have pretty good signal diversity there. One thought I was thinking about doing is just having this suspended in the middle, but I still have to go ahead and poke a couple of holes here. But I wanted to show you that. It was a really frustrating process, and where these wires rest on the floor, I'll probably just go ahead and put a couple of drips of hot glue to hold those in position, and that's just going to, for us, it's going to protect our connection points here so we don't have those detach in a rough landing, for instance, or a rough maneuver if the battery were to shift, although the battery doesn't have much room to go forward or backward. So anyway, that's what's going on. I just wanted to show you that. I'll go ahead and pause it, and I'll show you the holes we're going to do here in a second. And to answer my question, yeah, you can fit the 2200 4S, but it's a really tight squeeze, and it's going to be hard on the motor leads or on the battery leads, so I probably wouldn't do that. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to go ahead and poke some holes. So we're going to get our drill. Going to get a drill bit. Obviously you need about the same size in and out. If you use a step bit, they usually work kind of nice. Of course you can cut holes this way too. I'm sort of torn because I had such good success doing the gills. I'm not 100% sure how especially good they're going to work back here, because we've got these control rods going for the rudder and elevator stabilator. So I think in this case I'm going to probably want to just do a hole here and here. I mean, you want to try to get a cross path, so a couple holes on both sides would be fine. And I'd rather have a few small holes than a bunch of big holes, so we'll probably stay away from that for here. If I could get a big hole in there, I would do it, but I just don't think I'm going to have success. To be honest with you, this hole is going to be dangerous enough as it is. And remember, this is where the wing mounts, so of course you got structural strength here you don't want to lose, but you know, you got to keep the electronics cool. You're going to ruin it in like one flight. So I think I want to go to the bottom first. I'm just feeling with my finger so I can tell when the pressure is adequate that it's going to want to start splitting. Yep, I can feel it's wanting to poke through now. So I'm just walking a bit. I can feel it with my pointer index finger here. Okay, so I'm definitely in a good spot there. So now I'm going to take my finger out of the way. Just very light, even pressure here. Just walking the bit in just very slowly. Okay, so we're just making penetration finally. Okay, so now we've opened up the hole. Now we're just going to walk it in at a steep angle. Okay, so now I'm going to reach in and just verify we're not hitting anything, which we're not. In front of it or behind it, because obviously you're not going to be able to see very well while you're doing this. Okay, so now we're going to take a second. We're just going to make sure everything is safe and where we want it. Sorry, I got to point the camera away to do that, guys. Okay, so we got that hole there. It's going to take air in. I'll get back in it. Open the hole slightly. Okay, so we got a nice air redirection hole, I'm calling it tonight. Now I want to do this the easy way. You're probably thinking, what the heck are you thinking, Brian? I'm thinking I'm sick of doing this. Okay. Okay. So basically, we'll shrink that back. And then we'll take this drill bit, walk a little bit more off. Slowly walk to open the hole. So the worst part about doing it this way is that, of course, when you have a landing, there's a possibility you get some debris in there. But if a guy was motivated, you could take and put some mesh over that so that the debris wouldn't get in there. It wouldn't be big enough to matter. Okay. So Now we have this big ugly hole that does that will help to get some airflow in there. So now I want to try to clean up the hole a little bit better. Still looks like crap. Okay, so you got a pretty sizable hole there. That's going to definitely let the air in. But that's a very thick part of the frame too, so we should be nice. Should be good for strength of the frame and everything. I'm just going to take this X-Acto knife and just try to knock off the rough edge if there is any. I don't really think there is. Sorry guys. Okay, so we've got that taken care of for the moment. So now really I'm just going to take the X-Acto and just kind of carve just a little bit. I want the other type of X-Acto knife for that process though. Make it easier. At some point I'm going to have to refilm this area. I've got all sorts of damage. This is a really sharp X-Acto knife, unlike the other one who's maybe not so sharp. And I know for sure some of you are probably wondering what the heck I'm thinking cutting a hole like this. Well, I agree, it's kind of like a means to an end. If I have my ESC overheat to the extent that it shuts off, I lose the plane. I lose full control. And that could be dangerous, so you kind of don't really have an option on some of these things. You can't in good conscience keep flying a plane if you think there might be a real problem like that. And the 40 amp ESC just wasn't quite enough for this application. It'd be fine on the other plane because it's going to have better airflow, and it's also going to be a smaller motor, significantly smaller motor, so less draw of power. Okay. So now we have a nice clean entry hole. Okay. Now we need to put an exit hole in here somewhere. It'd be nice if I could have these in separate cavities, but right now it's right on or in front of the CG, so it shouldn't adversely affect the flight. Now the other hole's got to be up high. And the reason I chose to do this down low was to get away from this structural member. Then over here I can do it up high, and then I've got tons of structure here that's going to keep it strong, even though we're putting a hole in it. At least that's my hope. Okay, so we're going to basically go through here. We just want to avoid these electrical components. So I'm going to actually do this a little bit different. I'm going to start the hole, and I'm basically just going to drill the hole more or less straight, and then I'm going to walk the blade. Well, I'm using less finger pressure for the trigger. I'm not actually running out of battery here, in case you guys are wondering. You can feel the tip about to poke through. Nice and toasty. Okay, there it is. It's just coming out. Okay, so now this time we want it to kind of be the other direction. go high speed. Whew. That was not what I wanted to slip like that. But no big deal. I don't think we touched anything with it. Okay, so a little bit less aggressive hole. And you're probably thinking, well, you got to have them about the same size, don't you? Yeah, but I'm probably going to cut this one a little bit different because I'm close to the top now, which means I don't have the bottom to help with strength. So I'm just going to sit here and trim it just a little bit to get rid of that nasty edge and taper it. And then that will hopefully keep the wood from wanting to continue to split. So I trust that you guys are enjoying this first-person repair video viewpoint. It is slightly easier to ensure that I'm keeping things in frame, but that does not necessarily mean that it's easier to film this way. Just a little bit different for me. I hope you're liking it though. Okay, so that's got that nice kind of scoop effect to it to get the air back out. And remember, I'm not going for looks here predominantly. I mean, looks are a factor, but my main issue is trying to get this thing cool. A cool plane doesn't crash because of an overheated ESC, let's put it that way. That looks pretty decent. I can definitely live with that. And yes, it is a little bit smaller, but that's just the way it's gonna be, I guess. So, as we fly, the air is going to get pulled through here across the ESC and then out the other side on the top. And that's more or less a sealed cavity when you get the wings on there. So we'll see how that goes. We'll maybe do a little temperature test or something like that on the first flights or so. First couple of flights or so. And we'll see how that works. Might not be a bad idea to just hold that up somehow. We got those two pieces across there. I could probably even just throw something simple like a piece of balsa wood or something down there, or bamboo skewers, a couple of those. Let's see what we got over here. And keeping in mind that whatever we add here is just adding weight to the plane, obviously, so you want to minimize it while still getting the project finished. Okay, we're going to go to the junkyard for a piece. Ooh, fiberglass. That might be kind of nice right there. Because this won't conduct heat. At least not as efficiently as the other materials might, like wood. The wood wouldn't necessarily conduct heat either, but it would catch on fire a little easier than this stuff. Okay, cool. So let's try to slip that in there between the wires. Just going to try to slip that down, pulling it up so it's on top on either side, and then yeah, that's going to work pretty nice. It's like a little tray. Cool. Okay, nice. And then I can take my screwdriver and just slide it back just a hair. Except it doesn't want to slide worth a darn. That's kind of nice, actually. It's not going to slide worth a darn. That's kind of what I wanted. I think it's cut into the balsa wood a little bit, which is crazy. I didn't expect that at all. I do need to slide it back just a little bit, though. So I got it too far forward. Okay, so we're going to just hang on to this the way we want to hold it. Then we're going to control it a little bit better than we did the first time. That's where I want it. Now if I could just get my forceps to unlatch. Push that down. Whammo blammo, right there. That's where it's going to be. And that'll keep this from ever getting in a condition where it can flop into the receiver. And it may be pretty hot, so I want to try to keep it away from the receiver for that reason as well. Alright, cool. And that's about it there, guys. Obviously, good rule of thumb is when you're done with a project like this, you want to verify that when the battery is plugged in, you're going to make sure everything works while you're on the bench. I also got this hot glue. I wanted to try to smear a little bit in here, and then we're done. So just to keep this stuff on the floor here, and we want to go right over the connectors. Okay, just a couple of big blobs. We're just going to let it set up right there. Gonna spread it over the top and just get better contact area there. And that's all you got to do, really. That'll keep everything kind of sitting in that same spot and position. And then I just use the Q-tips to spread it out a little bit so it gets where we need it to be. Alright guys, that's all I got for you tonight. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.